Okay, thank you very much, everyone, for attending. I'm pretty sure we've got most of our attendees on now. For those who are a little late, we will have a recording of this anyway on our website. So we'll send that link out to you within 24 hours of finishing the webinar. So yeah, thank you very much. Hey, I'm Jim from PSI Brand. Some of you I may have met before, others maybe not. So yeah, just like to welcome on anyone who's new to PSI Brand and say hello to all of those that I've already met for. So welcome to our 2020 webinar series. This is the third webinar, Perfect Your Post-Mold Offering. In our first webinar, we did a bit of a broad overview of PSI Brand and our offerings. And the second one was all about in-molds, and this one here is all about post-molds. So hopefully some really nice takeaways for you in this webinar. So really what I'm wanting to cover in the next 20 minutes is where post-mold graphics fit your offering, and just share the secrets of the Porter Yards project. So that's a local company which was applying and still is applying post-molds onto a highly textured HDPE surface. Also going to provide a live demonstration onto a plastic box in front of me, including another highly textured part as well. Just share some hacks and quick tips with you, and also want to explain the post-mold popular features. So we'll go through these and just take note of any that you might be missing out on that you could perhaps take advantage of in the near future. Of course, if you've got any questions, please pop them in the chat and we'll look forward to answering them at the end before we close off. So something else I will mention at this point is if you want to change the view settings within Zoom, is just go up to the top there and click on view settings. You might want to select side-by-side mode. And what that gives you the ability to do is make the presentation smaller and make the video larger if you want to check out any of the interesting product that we've got in behind us here. So let's move on. I have a few slides to share before we move into the live part of the demonstration, which will hopefully be the most interesting for you. So when to use post-mold or decals. Now let's just get my light working. So when to use post-mold or decals? Well, the fact is nothing sticks to plastic due to the low surface energy. And I've just put in there a couple of examples of polyethylene, the dyne level in polyethylene being 31 compared to stainless steel at 46. So while a decal will stick nicely to steel, you can see why it has trouble sticking to polyethylene. Now this might be already obvious to you. What I did want to point out also is that when you flame treat a polyethylene, it lifts the dyne level right up. So that is used in a lot of instances for printing onto plastics. When we flame plastics, or when we recommend to flame plastics for our graphics, we're literally oxidizing the surface. So you're opening up the pores of the plastic and then burnishing the graphic into those pores, and as the plastic returns to its normal, encapsulates and fuses to the graphic on the surface. So we'll run through and show you how that works shortly. And just to cover, I guess, the options, as I'd like to share this sheet here, and I appreciate there's a lot of text, but this is a comparison chart you'll find on our website as well, as to what PSI Brand can do to help you with different options. On the left-hand side, we've got the in-mold graphics, starting with the in-mold Extreme, which is our latest version of in-mold graphic. Designed for polyethylenes primarily, but also works well with polypropylenes. It is a clear material which has got extremely high flame resistance, UVI built into it. And the in-mold original is the backbone of our graphics, where we started out and what we've been working with for the last 18 years. Being a base white material, again, has the same peel and stick application. So we're focusing on post-mold graphics. We can look at vinyl decals which stick onto the surface, they're self-adhesive. We do in fact have a high-tack vinyl which is designed to stick to low surface energy surfaces like plastics. Yes, you can still feel an edge, and yes, you can still chip at it. So yeah, it's there as an option, but what we want to focus on today is the post-mold graphics. So after mold application, it's applied using a heat and burnishing process. It's recommended for polyethylenes from low density through to high density. Also used on crosslinks, some crosslinks, nylons, ABS. So download our spec sheet on that for a more a comprehensive guide on which plastics are going to work on. So they're supplied pre-coated with adhesive. This adhesive is designed to activate once it comes in touch with a heated surface, and that just simply holds it in place while you run through your burnishing process. So enough on trying to describe that without showing you. We'll move to that later. So I just wanted to share a couple of slides on a unique application where our post-mold graphics are being used. And I believe Ron from Hussey Seating might be on the call this webinar today. So thank you very much to Hussey Seating in Maine, who utilize our post-mold graphic system for giving them a unique point of difference, taking the team motif for whatever college or sports team they might be representing and putting it onto a bank of plastic seats. So what you're looking at here is a telescopic seating system, which is made out of HDPE. Now, this company tried using vinyl decals in the first instance, but understandably they were able to peel off. So turning to PSI brand and using the post-mold system, they're able to now fully fuse those graphics to the front of those seats. And you can imagine how much of a grueling this graphic goes through, perhaps if you've got an excited crowd or someone fidgeting there wanting to chip away at the graphic. It's really putting it through its paces. So it just gives you a nice example of where you can use our graphics to make a unique point of difference. The next example I just wanted to share with you is a local company called Landquip. Landquip are based here in Hawke's Bay, New Zealand, and they manufacture portable sheep yards. So over here in New Zealand, we have a lot of sheep, and this is a portable race. And on the side of that has got some red panels, and that's made from HDPE, extruded panel. Now I'm just going to share you a short video clip and talk you through what we did to help them. So you can see them here where the product's been used. Has the HDPE panels on the side, which is ideal because it saves any muck or dirt sticking to it. And but the challenge they have, of course, is branding a product like this. So I'm just going to show you a short clip here of how the operator here is heating the surface using an LPG or propane torch, bringing it up and using that steel plate just to concentrate the heat in that area. They're bringing it up to above 80, more like 100 degrees Celsius. And then he's positioning his graphic in place and trying to apply it nice and flat and smooth without trapping air bubbles. Of course, challenging being a textured surface. In this instance, he's using a plastic fork to push the parts of the graphic right down into the grooves of the plastic. I'm going to do the same application for you shortly using a hair comb. So it's pressing the graphic right down into those crevices in the texture. Once it's transferred off, he then gives another quick burst with the flame just to fully embed the graphic into that HDPE surface. So that's the Landquip demonstration. What I want to run through now is a live demonstration doing exactly the same graphic as you saw in the Landquip video. So let me just go to share my camera. Bear with me a moment and we'll be able to show you a bit more about this process. Okay, hopefully that now is coming up on your screens as well. So in front of me, I have here medium density polyethylene part. I'm going to apply graphic to this area here, courtesy of Ken's Marine. So quite a large graphic here. I'm going to be applying it over the side of the molding. So what I want to do for a start is just to make sure my product is clean. I don't have any dirt or grime on it. If it's been sitting out in your factory or in storage, A good way to clean is using isopropyl alcohol just to prime the surface. So first I'm going to go in and flame it. I'm going to use, in this instance, a Rypac gas torch with a wide flame adapter, extremely effective for doing large areas. If you're doing a smaller graphic, you might work with something a bit more like this here, which has got a narrower flame, still very, very effective for smaller graphics. What I will mention at this point is do not use heat guns. So there's an electric heat gun. It does not work. It simply just warms up the surface. It doesn't oxidize it like a flame will. So please don't use these heat guns. You won't get the desired heat and you won't get a sufficient bond. Right, so once I've heated up the surface, I'm going to test my temperature using this infrared thermometer here, and then just wait a minute, I'm just going to check my camera again because it looks like it might have done a freeze. Just restart it like that. So once my temperature is up, I'm going to then apply my graphic to the part. I'm going to be using a squeegee, just to squeegee across the graphics to bring that adhesive into contact with the warm surface and also remove any air bubbles. Then finally, I'm going to buzz across using our burnishing tool. Okay, perfect. So I'm just showing the air burnishing tool here where our little burnishing pads, so one side is a very stippled surface. I'll try and put it up to the camera here. You can see there's a little hard little nylon dimples molded, over molded by a soft plastic. So this is used for burnishing the graphics into place. I can simply just place it into the little adapter on this burnishing tool here, and that makes the job a lot faster and gives a much better result. Anyway, enough talk, let's do some demonstrations. So I'll start with my flaming. So I want it to be up around 70 degrees, maybe 70 to 100. So I'm about 75 now, 73. So I'm just going to give that a quick flash before I put my graphics on. Right, comfortable with that. So I'm just exposing the base of the graphic here and then just moving over with my squeegee just to make sure I haven't trapped any air bubbles. My part is slightly curved into the inside here, so I'm trying to work with that. And I see that I may have trapped one or two air bubbles here, which is ideal because I'm going to show you how to remove those. Right, now I'm going to run through my burnishing. I'll just shift this over close to the camera. At this point, you can just carefully lift one of the corners. And if you see it's well stuck down, you can then peel it away. If part of the graphic comes up while you're peeling this transfer away, you can just place it back down again and give it another burnish. All right. So what I want to show you now is I have a couple of trapped air bubbles, and a couple of them I'm going to expel. So I've got one down here. I'm just pressing it with my knife and pressing the graphic down gently to expel the air. Another one here, another one here. And that'll completely disappear when we do our final heat. I've got a couple up here. I'm going to leave one purposely just to show you what happens when we do the final flame, because that's likely to burn or split or even discolor on us. All right, and it's done exactly that. So this is the finished graphic on the part. And what I'm wanting to show you up in this, which is where my finger is here, is we've got a discolored area, and that's the bubble which I failed to pinprick. So that's something you need to look out for when you're applying graphics. Now, you might be asking, how do we know that is correctly applied to the part? Well, great question. When you're doing your first graphic run, set your parameters. So do some testing onto a scrap part and do some adhesion testing. And adhesion testing should be done once the part's fully cooled. So I'm just going to grab a part down here that we applied in a previous time zone. So I've run this webinar twice before today. So this graphic here is fully cooled, and our common test is just to scratch at one edge here, and if you can drag your fingernail across without peeling up the graphic, that's a really good quick test. The ultimate test is really giving a crosshatch test. So this is by bringing a knife, creating some scores going opposite ways like this here, then getting an aggressive tape and sticking it down onto that area. Okay, so you can give it 5 to 10 seconds to activate, and then just pulling it off. And if you have any graphic left on your piece of tape, and you also notice it come off the plastic as well, that's a really good indication that you've got a good bond. So you don't need to do this every single molding. This is really just to set your parameters when you're starting out. So with that, I'm going to move into the LandQuit panel. So this is the HDPE panel, which we saw in the LandQuit video. And as you can see from the camera, it's got a really coarse texture on it. So I'm going to be flaming the surface as I showed previously, then applying the graphic onto it here. Hopefully it comes out looking something like this here, but who knows? Let's give it a crack. So I will be taking this up to a slightly higher temperature, up to around between 80 and 100 degrees Celsius, just to make sure that we have adequate temperature in there. So let's just get some flame onto it. Flame it a little more. Okay, I've done a few of these now, so kind of know what to look for. You get that surface gloss happening, and with this plastic it seems to go a slightly darker red. So I'm using a hair comb here, as you can see, instead of a plastic fork like they had in their video. This is just to press the graphic down into all those crevices. Maybe PSI should develop a tool that is orange and looks more like a hair comb, and that might help for some of the highly textured parts that are out there. Concentrating on the edges, moving in. You can see at this point the graphics kind of changing color. This is from transferring over onto the plastic. So the reason our normal burnishing pads won't work as well as this instance is because they struggle to press the graphic down into all those crevices. Admittedly, it takes a bit more work, but the overall result is certainly worth it. Of course, appreciate any feedback that anyone, if anyone else out there is achieving something similar on some highly textured parts. Very appreciate any feedback, any comments you might have, any tips that you might have that we can share to help our customers going forward. So I'm really happy with the transfer that we've got here. You can notice the transfer is slipping around all over the place, and we have it applied to the part. So I'm just going to give that now final flaming, just to make sure it's fully embedded. Okay, so just a quick flame over it like that. You don't want to concentrate on that area for an extended period, because what that might do is burn burn the graphic, you might end up discoloring it. So let me just see, make sure my camera's still working. Yes, it is. Let's bring that up so you can have a closer look at it. So that is simply all there is to it. Again, appreciate any feedback, any comments you might have of other techniques that you might be using, which you're willing to share. All right, let me move back to the last couple of slides before we move on to our question answer section. All right, got through that bit without burning the building down is always a big plus. All right, let me just cover the features. The features of the post-mold graphics. So yeah, first up, heat activated adhesive. So our graphics feature an adhesive which activates on heat. So there's no spray adhesives at all. And that adhesive simply, as I mentioned before, is to hold the graphic in place while we run through that burnishing process. It is not to glue it to the part. If it was to glue it to the part, you would end up seeing it just flaking off again. And that's what you might see if you're not using enough heat in pre or post stages, is while the graphic appears to be stuck to the part, it's just the adhesive holding it there. It's not actually using that proper plastic bond. Opaque, as you saw, white on a red part does not turn pink. You end up with a really nice, sharp looking brand. Shelf life, absolutely unlimited. That is a claim. Now, be reasonable here. Don't keep them under your desk or in your glove box. You know, keep them in a shelf within the packaging supplied. That could be in your workshop, in your office, and you should see those graphics lasting for as long as you need them. Colors, full color process. So just want to touch on that, as you would have seen in the Hussey example. They're using a lot of multiple colors. I just want to share another project as well, which we've done recently, which is a tic-tac-toe. Project where we actually printed a full-life grizzly bear. So you can see his head, you can see the torso, followed by the feet. So really the opportunities are unlimited for colors. Track and trace. So we did a lot of barcoding, QR codes, serial numbers, really popular for aftermold application. MOQs, or minimum order quantities. So we have a 1 sheet minimum, and 1 sheet is literally 1,000 millimeters by 700 millimeters. Whatever you can fit on that sheet, that is our minimum. So go beat that. Now, in our lead time, we promise a 10 days anywhere. Using our rush service, that truly is the fastest. Please put us to the test. More than happy to rise to the challenge. Competitive. So ask for a free setup cost on your first order. As attendees to this webinar, we are offering a free setup cost on your next order. So take advantage of that. And customize. Think of an application now where you might have either your product or your client's product, where you can add a brand, add value, and upsell, give them that extra, piece that perhaps I'm missing out on. And last but not least is our graphics are all safe. Both the in-mold and the post-mold are all 100% FDA compliant. So just in conclusion, and some takeaway points for you here is plastic is plain, be seen and be heard. Now, more than ever, it could not be more important to have your products seen in such a challenging and crowded marketplace. There's no excuse to have product going out the door with substandard branding. Be seen and be heard. Talk to us, take advantage of some of those points we've talked about. Get trained and certified. So we've got a new training portal we launched just prior to COVID in March, where you can go online and anyone can run through these different modules, get trained and certified on our different graphic processes. Furthermore, we're offering masterclasses face-to-face using a platform like this here, where we send your company welcome packs, and whoever attends can literally touch and apply graphics and we're in a 60 to 90-minute session, what we call our masterclass, and go out of that fully confident in applying graphics. Download our PCPA and troubleshoot guide and spec sheets under the resource section. Identify the features that you're missing out on. So I've just touched on the popular features. Hopefully there's some there that you may not have seen before. If you're already using them, great. But identify which ones you're missing out on. Let us know where we can help you. And for more, of course, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, where we're constantly updating with new tips and tricks. So with that, we'll go to our question and answer session before we close, just to see if there's any questions that have come up, which I can see there's a couple here in the chat. So let me just scroll through and have a look. What kind of artwork do you require? Great question. For quoting, all we need is a picture. Artwork for literally turning your dream into reality is vector artwork. So typically these are supplied Illustrator, AI, EPS, PDF, or even Corel Draw are all fine. But again, if you don't have that, and appreciate it's sometimes really hard to get hold of that artwork, send us what you got. We've got a bunch of fully trained artists here that can vectorize it for you. So I trust that helps. I see another one that might have popped in here. The IPA for cleaning, is there one grade that works better, i.e. 70%, 91%, 99%? Really, you can start off, you don't have to use IPA. You could use a mold release remover as well. Really, you could start off with your less aggressive grade for cleaning. It's really just to clean the plastics more than anything. It doesn't, it's not like a chemical reaction that we're looking for to, prep or prime the plastic. It's just to make sure we've got a really nice clean surface. So the short answer to that question is it shouldn't matter which type of IPA you're using. Trust that helps. Just make sure there's no further. There's one more popped in. Are the graphics RAH3 and REACH compliant? Yes, 100% so. Also CP/SIA compliant. We've had our graphics tested and they meet all these requirements. So I trust it helps. They can be used in a wide range of different food grade and children applications. So absolutely. And that goes with both the in-mold and the post-mold graphics. Well, that looks about it. Thank you very much for your time. Much appreciated. I trust there's been some, this has been beneficial for you. It's designed for you. Please, feel free to join our next webinar. Our next webinar is going to be around the auxiliary products such as the surface enhancers and the new paint system. So trust that's going to be worthwhile for you as well. Please leave us some feedback. We will be sending the recording. And again, have a great day. Appreciate your time.